And right now, or based on this statement, we don't have anything from the FBI. All we have is the words of Stephen Bertolino here, and now saying that Chris Laundrie is assisting law enforcement today in the search for Brian. Chris was asked to point out any favorite trails or spots that Brian may have used in the preserve here. But I put this out on Twitter last night. For people that have been following me on my WFLAJB Twitter account, I asked this question. I said, why now? What has changed? Are we just getting now to a point in the search efforts where they're considering all of their additional options here as far as where they can bring in additional resources, such as Brian Laundrie's father, to assist in the search efforts? Or has there been a development that has led them to now bring in Brian Laundrie, or Brian Laundrie's father here, Chris Laundrie, to assist in search efforts? Now, let's not forget, yesterday was a very interesting day in the search for Brian Laundrie here at the Carlton Reserve. Again, show you just some video from yesterday. A lot more activity yesterday.
Check out my plot twist. Here's my plot twist. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to my channel. If you're new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. Yes, I'm not looking so hot this morning. I was making candles, watching American Horror Story, which sucked. Started watching A Million Little Things from last night, and then I heard JB was live. And then it hit me. And I started thinking, maybe Dad joined the search because Dad knows that he's there and he's secretly going to drop off items for Brian. Think about it. And it did look like he had a knife in his pocket. He wouldn't need a knife to go on a search, nor would he really need a wallet. But he had something in his pocket. And I'm telling you, possibly, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, possibly he knows his son is there and he's going to secretly drop items that Brian's going to get. That's my theory. It's possible. Don't yell at me. It's not a conspiracy. Think about it. Before you yell at me, think about it. And to me, it makes perfect sense that that's why he all of a sudden joined the search. He may know his son is watching. He may know that his son is somehow able to see him. And boom, secretly drop something out of his pocket. No, I agree with you, Goldie. But if you look in his pocket on my cover shot, it kind of looks like there's a knife in there. Or it could be a knife. But it's possible, even if it's money, that he might be dropping something off for Brian, and Brian's going to pick it up. Think about it. I don't know why it hit me, but it hit me like a ton of bricks.
Than what we've seen really over the past week to 10 days. A lot more vehicles that we could see from Eagle 8 HD. The K9 was there. The drone was there. It was a pretty large search effort comparatively to what we've had over the last 10 days. So was there something new?
Now, bless this mess, somebody said, I think it was one of my Patreons, said that the FBI isn't with him, it's only local police, which would give him the ability to drop it. Now, on the flip side, is the FBI thinking like I am, and they're watching him, and they're waiting to see if he drops something? That's a good possibility, too. I am definitely not smarter than the FBI. It's very possible the FBI has the same thinking that I do, and there's cameras, or they set up cameras, and they're watching him to see if he drops something. If something falls out of his pocket, then they can nail Brian. That's my theory. Just think about it.
A development. CNN reporting last night about a campsite. We, of course, very, very cognizant of that. But it has something really changed here where they want Brian Laundrie here as part, or Brian Laundrie's father, part of.
Savannah, I personally think, now, based on what JB just said, I stick with my theory even more. JB is saying the FBI wanted the father involved. I think there's cameras or something. They put somewhere something in order to watch the dad, see if anything drops anything, whatever. But aside from that, if Dad joined the search, I really believe two things. Either A, he knows he's not there, or more importantly, he knows he's there and they just want this to end already. If dad initiated it, or dad just wants to not be a prisoner in his own home because they realize this is not going away. So they need to do something. So it's one of the three.
The search for Brian Laundrie himself. Interesting question here, but I want to know what has changed. Why now? Why wasn't Chris Laundrie, Brian Laundrie's father, brought in 2 weeks ago? Why are we waiting till October 7th? And that's something that really only the FBI knows, or unless maybe Bertolino is going to release an additional statement here and clear up, in his estimation, why this is happening now and not weeks ago. But I've also put out on my Twitter as well and on Instagram as well, where was Chris and Roberta Laundrie's plea to the public to help find their son Brian? Why weren't they out there asking for the public's help, or why weren't they on their front lawn pleading with the public to call 1-800-CALL-FBI? Where was the effort to find Brian then? Why now is Chris Laundrie himself involved here, and our commenters noting that it's because the FBI asked, but where was the plea to the public to help find Brian weeks ago? I don't know the answer to that question. And I think we've talked about this here on stream quite a bit. If it was your child, I can speak to myself. If it was my child, I want to lace up my boots, and I know it's treacherous. I know there's snakes. I know there's gators. I know that it's rough terrain. And I know that weeks ago it was extremely swampy here with all the precipitation that we had. But if it's my kid, you can't stop me from trying to help out. I wouldn't be able to sit in my house and just stare at my four walls or go back in the backyard and do gardening while my son...
It's also very possible they started talking because of Cassie. This all might be because they're afraid of Cassie, or they see a path with Cassie that they don't want to go down. Meaning they see that she couldn't get in trouble, or that, they want to protect her, and it's gotten to the point where they can no longer protect Brian to the same extent. So they need to look out for the rest of their family, their grandkids. That could be a very big part of this, Cassie. So, I mean, we could all speculate from now until doomsday why Christopher all of a sudden got involved. And, believe me, I've already thrown out 3 different theories, but it just hit me just now that there's a good chance their grandkids, they've just had enough. And now they want help because now Cassie's involved, and, people are getting problems with Cassie, and who knows, but that's a good chance too. Brian's not buried in the garden. This is the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Is out there, and I don't know where he is, if that's me. I'm just speaking for me. Let's take some other comments here. Letitia Rosado, #AJB. I have never heard of a family member joining the search for a person of interest in a homicide, especially not knowing if this man had anything to do with helping him get away to begin with. It's an interesting comment here. The dynamics here are very bizarre. And I think that that's part of the reason why we've had so many people gravitate towards this story, is because all of this just feels so strange, does it not? Letitia, thanks for your comment here. David Wright, that name, of course, rings a bell because I'm a baseball fan, former New York Met, but it doesn't appear that this is the former New York Met. David Wright here, #AJB. I think that they've narrowed down the search area and are bringing the dad in to assist in bringing Brian into custody safely. We don't know if the search area has narrowed. We don't know if there's been a new wrinkle or development that leads them to be looking in this particular spot. But we're live here with you from Eagle 8 HD, and we're going to stay here with you live for as long as we have fuel to continue to scan here the Carlton Reserve and look for signs of Brian Laundrie's father, Chris Laundrie, actively involved there in the search efforts at the Carlton Reserve. Paul again, it speaks to how vast this area is. I mean, he's zooming in and out, looking for any signs of law enforcement. EMC, or I'm sorry, E McCoy 15 on Twitter. Hashtag KJB, they are in a small vehicle over by a bridge near like a sign with a little roof on it. And this would, and if this, again, we've had online sleuths that have been providing us with some great intel from social media. And there's, of course, so many people on the ground here monitoring the every step of law enforcement and the every step of an individual like Chris Laundrie here. And this could be now the beginning here of the search. Again, there could have been a time set. Let's all meet at the Carlton Reserve here at this time. We'll have our meeting here at this time, and then we'll actually start walking or driving around the grounds here at this time, maybe noon. It's 11:55 Eastern right now. Could noon be the start time of the search efforts? It's if there is a, the FBI is by the book, and of course they have a plan in place for each and every day, and there's of course a strategy that is executed, and we might see that strategy kind of play out in real time here from Eagle 8 HD. Ashley Renee, hashtag KJB, the FBI wouldn't ask his father to be there unless they know something, right? I don't think they'd let him interfere with their investigation otherwise. Ashley, I don't know if you would say it's necessarily interfering, but trying to tap into the knowledge of Brian Laundrie's.
See, the other girl had a really good point. Since when are they going to allow the father of a murder investigation or a homicide investigation to help on a search for him? That's very odd. This is like the FBI. They need the father's assistance. We're missing something. Maybe they found him, and like the other person said, they're trying to get him to come out of where he was to safety, and maybe dad can do it, kind of like Chris Watts, wanted to talk to the dad first. I don't know. Something, maybe. I don't know. Just something is weird.
Father, Chris Laundrie, and use that to their advantage as far as looking in the right spot. So I don't know if necessarily interfering here. Now, listen, I read your social media comments. Reddit, I hear all of what you're saying on Reddit. I pay very close attention to Reddit, to Twitter, to YouTube, to Instagram. And I know that there are people who think that this is just a major misdirection, that this is all intentional, and this is all just to give Brian Laundrie an opportunity to get as far away from Florida as possible. I hear it, but there's no evidence. There's no evidence. That is a theory that makes sense for a Netflix series or a Hulu movie or an Amazon Prime original. It does. It makes sense. That puzzle piece fits in your brain. But there's no evidence right now to suggest that this is a misdirection. And if the FBI is committing this amount of resources.
See, understand though, I get that they allegedly found a campsite, but the FBI normally doesn't bring in parents of murder suspects or homicide suspects or whatever you want to call it, homicide point of interest, however you want to call him. They usually don't bring in the dad. The FBI usually has enough resources. They don't need to bring in family members. That's why this is so weird. That's why I don't believe that it has to do with identifying something, because since when does the FBI need help like that? That part doesn't sit right with me. Something is missing, or we obviously don't know something, but the FBI doesn't do that. They just don't.
Forces here to the Carlton Reserve near Myakkahatchee, then it leads you to believe, we don't know, but it makes you want to believe that they have something substantial, credible, tangible evidence that leads them to be used. I mean, we're almost going on a month here, right? A month or so at the Carlton Reserve as far as the search. We're about to hit the 1 month point. Would it be a month-long search if they didn't have something that really felt authentic and real as to them being here? I think that we have to put our faith in the FBI. And remember, they're the ones at the poker table holding all the cards, and we don't know what those cards are as far as the evidence here in this case. Gabriella Gab with a very good question here, hashtag AJB. Are people watching Laundrie's home? If not, they should. And I can assure you that while the large contingency of media has moved from outside of the home there in Northport, the Laundrie home, and have moved here to Myakkahatchee, to where the Ford Mustang was found abandoned, there's still going to be a considerable amount of people outside of the home. It's not as if everybody picks up their gear, leaves, picks up their lawn chairs and drives to the spot. Though I would imagine that right now outside of the Laundrie home there, and I'd be curious checking with Brian. I'll shoot Brian Enton a text here.
I want to shoot Brian Enton a text. Where's his number, JB?
Just text Brian. Just curious where Brian is. I know that our crews have mobilized, and our crews are on the Myakka side of the Carlton Reserve. But if Brian Enton is still at the Laundrie home, and I could follow, of course, I have him right here on Twitter. Good look there as well. I'm just curious if he is still at the Laundrie home. Then no, he is. Brian Enton, of course, is at the reserve. I see his post here 5 minutes ago. In fact, he did a live stream for his viewers there as well. So he is there on the ground. So I don't know how many people, Gabriella, are at the Laundrie's home, but I can assure you it's not a ghost town. Heather on YouTube, #KJB, do you think that all of these FBI agents and everyone involved would be wasting time searching the same reserve if they didn't have some sort of evidence / clues that he is, in fact, hiding there? Very similar to what I was just talking about. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is notorious for not giving, it's an ironclad ship, no leaks whatsoever. And so we're not going to get any information as to why these developments have occurred, why there was an uptick specifically in activity at Carlton Reserve yesterday, why there was more vehicles there. It was virtually non-existent from Eagle 8 HD as far as the search efforts on Monday, Tuesday. Then Wednesday comes around, and all of a sudden, they focus in on a new area. A drone gets launched in the air, a canine gets brought in, and they're going up and down the power line trail there, the power line road there, and kind of scanning back and forth and really paying attention to that one spot. So what does that mean? We don't necessarily know, but to Heather's comment here, it makes you want to believe that there is something new here that leads them not just to be focusing their attention here on this one spot, but to also now have Brian Laundrie's father, Chris Laundrie, here at Carlton Reserve. Jessica Conway, #KJB, do you think Brian Laundrie will be found by his father today? I hope. That's all I can say. Everyone's got gut feelings. I read it specifically.
Just don't be found this afternoon, because I won't be around. So if you're going to find him, make sure it's either at night or tomorrow morning, not this afternoon.
Been all night last night and all morning this morning catching up on some of the Reddit activity. There's some great folks over there on Reddit, on the the subreddit, Gabby Petito subreddit. And so many people just, prayers, today's the day. Prayers that this is it. Prayers that we have momentum. Just holding on to any thread of hope that Brian Laundrie is going to be found alive here locally. Now, the odds, of course, of finding him increase here locally, and the chance of him being elsewhere, like the Appalachian Trail or even internationally, the farther he gets away from Florida, the more unlikely, or the more likely it is that we're just not going to find him anytime soon. Our best bet right now is where most of the resources have been pooled, and visibly the resources are here at the Carlton Reserve. I see our digital content producer, Heather Monahan. So I want to address this too. We're trying to, there's misinformation out there that Brian's new phone was purchased on September 14th. We're not exactly sure where that information is coming from. We've always reported it as September 4th. That's been one of the thumbtacks on the timeline that just has been very odd to us, because we don't know if that's just as simple as there being a typo. A lot of folks just saying September 14th was the date that a new phone was purchased. Well, we've always had it as September 4th, so I just want to kind of clear that up here. But if anybody has information, credible information, factual information as to a phone being purchased on September 14th, please let me know on my WFLAJB Twitter, Instagram. You could also shoot an email over to me as well here, jbuno@wfla.com. Waiting for Paul to chime in here. Not really hearing Paul. just bringing his audio up here just to make sure we haven't missed him. He's really home. When we don't hear, Paul likes to talk to our audience. Paul likes to engage with our WFLA Now audience. And when he goes quiet for, I think it's been about 15 minutes now, he's really focused and honed in. I want to explain.
The orthopedic will be talking to me about Phoenix, and I'll be like, no, wait, Brian Laundrie was found. Gotta go. Can you imagine?
Let's bring up Paul's picture here. I want to explain what Paul does in Eagle 8 HD. He's not flying it. People are like, oh, he's the pilot. No, he has a pilot, a dedicated pilot that is navigating, and he's always, of course, in constant contact with our pilot for Eagle 8 HD. And we have multiple pilots for Eagle 8 HD. But Paul is working a joystick, very similar to like a video game controller, but more of like a panel in front of him. And he's got monitors in front of him. He's got several different cameras on Eagle 8 HD. So he is a master, and I say this, it's a master class in being able to look out of the window to spot something on the ground there, and then be able to look at it on the monitor in front of him and comparatively say that those two areas are the same exact thing. It takes just kind of like a meteorologist in front of a green screen, knowing where to point and having the presence to be there and be very, very coordinated, eye-hand coordination. Paul is among the best I've ever seen at being able to identify a point of reference on the ground and match that up with a point of reference on the monitors in front of him, while meanwhile he's about 1,400 feet up in the air inside of a chopper flying around. He's moving at all times, as we can see here. He's zooming in and out, he's panning, he's tilting as the chopper itself is moving. And so I just like to explain that for our viewers. Paul is extraordinarily incredible at what he does here. So when he goes quiet for this long, it's because he's really honed in here on visually trying to find some indication of where law enforcement might be here at this hour. Let's take a few more questions and comments here. Danny May's Adventures on YouTube. #KJB. Any news on the citation issued on the car? Was the car actually there for 5 days? We have not been able to indicate how long the car was there. We just know the abandoned vehicle report is on WFLA.com that the abandoned vehicle was found at 6968 Reisterstown Road, Northport, Florida, which is pretty much right exactly where Chris Laundrie pulled up to this morning here on the Myakka side of the Carlton Reserve. The ordinance, of course, Ordinance 4256, which is the ordinance for an abandoned vehicle, a vehicle that is left for too long in one spot. The date being...
The problem is the Unabomber, in my opinion, was way more intelligent than Brian. Unabomber was extremely intelligent. I don't think Brian's that intelligent, but I might be wrong.
September 14th, 2:42 in the afternoon. And the narrative, anytime that police, of course, file a report, there's a description, a narrative, where they give details on it, and the entire thing is just ink, as in it's been redacted. It's just a big black square here, or rectangle here. No details there, and perhaps one day we'll find out more about it, but to answer your question, Danny May, no new information, but the information that we do have on the citation here, the abandoned vehicle citation, is on WFLA.com. Let's go to Key High on YouTube, #KJB. What is the relationship between where the Mustang was found and where Chris L's truck was parked? It's the same general area, the Myakka side. So there's a couple different, we've been talking about the two different sides, the Carlton Reserve's main entrance, if you will, and then the Myakkahatchee side, where there is a trail that you're looking at here, the trail that then goes in on the other side of Carlton Reserve here. So it's the same general area here of where the Mustang was found abandoned here. That, again, 6968 Reisterstown Road, Northport, Florida, and it might not be the exact same spot.
Yeah, Perp Squad is right. I vaguely remember that the Unabomber was caught because the brother turned him in. I vaguely remember that.
Latitude, longitude, it might not be the exact same spot, but it's in the same general area as where the Ford Mustang was discovered. Zane Zormanta on YouTube, #JB. Police asked Brian's dad to help earlier, then they canceled. Did they ask the second time? what changed again? So all we've had are indications that Brian Laundrie's parents, Chris and Roberta Laundrie, they have been cooperating at every stage, and that cooperation has been conducted in several different ways. In that they've apparently, of course, been talking to the FBI. Bertolino, of course, the attorney, saying today that gave them trail information, where Brian liked to hike, where he liked to go camping, where he liked to walk here in Mayaca, on the Mayaca side of Carlton Reserve. They also cooperated in the form of giving DNA evidence. We remember about a few weeks ago or a couple weeks ago, the FBI pulled up to the home here and collected DNA evidence, or evidence for a DNA sample that they got. They also came a few days later and they collected belongings of Brian Laundrie to assist the canines in picking up the scent. So it's just been a whole lot of cooperation here. But this is now the first time that we have had the cooperation rise to the level of being at the Carlton Reserve physically. Carissa Marie on Twitter, #KJB, why didn't Roberta go as well? It could have just been a personal decision. This is rough terrain. It's and Roberta, I don't know the experience as far as hiking that Chris and Roberta have. This could have been a situation where Roberta came out here today and Chris didn't, or Chris came out and then Roberta didn't, or they came out together. I think that it just this is a new development. Of course, the media following every move here, the public following every move here. And I think that, listen, being out here in the Florida heat, in the mugginess, in a swampy area where you're walking through mud, where you're actively involved in a FBI-led criminal investigation and search for Brian Laundrie, I'm sure that there was a conversation that was had by Chris and Roberta Laundrie, and they determined, for the reasons that only they know, that Chris was the one to go and Roberta was going to stay, and that that maybe Roberta thought it was best, given all the activity at the home, that maybe it was best that she stay at home and not leave here for the Carlton Reserve. Carissa Marie, thank you for your comment. Again, Paul Lameson's mic is open. We might just check in here with Paul in a moment and just make sure that that our comms are still open. Thomas Camargo on YouTube, #KJB, any developments on the Appalachian Trail? None. Well, the developments in that there, of course, the sightings, and we've told you about the various sightings there, and in the Carolinas, and the Appalachian Trail, and the 99.99% sighting there. But as far as developments, as far as the FBI or law enforcement searching the Appalachian Trail, zero. That would have been a major development, because it would have been the first time that law enforcement here connected to Brian Laundrie's disappearance acknowledged that the search has moved beyond the state of Florida. Let's check in with Paul. Let's see if we can check in with Eagle 8 HD's Paul Lameson and just make sure that everything's okay. Hey there, Paul, just checking in, and I see you scanning here, looking, and not a whole lot right now.
Hey, JB, yeah, we're here. We're back. We're kind of just trying to retrace the steps. We know where they started. We have the truck, the trailer.
Captain Obvious, it's funny that you said that, because I was thinking about that. Like, Dog hasn't said anything recently. I thought, A, he feels dumb because the FBI already knew that information. That's been even told by Cassie. Or 2, the FBI told him, stay the fuck out of this. That's my other thought. That they don't want him involved because he's giving stuff to the public that they didn't say for a reason, and he may be hindering it, which is why they want him to stay quiet. So that's my opinion of why it's possible that he hasn't said a word in a couple of days. Either that, or his 70-year-old butt is just tired of looking and he knows he didn't get anywhere or find anything new. So I don't know. He does need to retire. He's like almost 70 years old.
And they were on a little ATV, kind of gator-type car, and we're trying to just find that out here in the wilderness. We know they came across this bridge right here to get into the reserve. Once they got in, we don't know where they went off to. Our guess, we went both directions, and then once you're on this path, there are little roads you can drive into the main part, but once you do that, you're nearly hidden by everything out here. I'll show you one of the areas we're talking about. So if they came in here, you can ride it back through this stuff, and we see roads and little paths, but then they go into these trees. And as of yet, we haven't been able to find anybody out here, and we've been looking for the last half hour, and we just haven't seen any activity. And so that's where we are now, JB. We're in the area where they're apparently searching. We just have not seen the search from the air. But again, this part of the reserve, you get a lot of trees and a lot of tree-lined areas. So say they're on a path, they would ride the path through here, but then up here you go into this heavily wooded area where you can still make it through. It's just tough to see from up in the air, so we have not seen them yet out searching. We know they're here. The truck is still up there. The trailer that held the ATV is still up there. We just haven't found the ATV and the people on it doing the search, and that's what we continue to look for, JB. But again, it's a tough area to find anything, let alone two people out walking around or riding on a small ATV. So we're going to keep looking for another like 10-15 minutes, and we have to go get fuel in Venice, but we'll let you know before we leave. But again, JB, we haven't seen anything up here. Back to you.
Paul, so you would have seen vehicles by now. We've been over this area enough. I think it's safe to say that we would have seen vehicles on the ground here, because there's only so many places the vehicles can actually begin and then head out here into the reserve. So I see two scenarios here. Scenario A is they just haven't begun searching yet, and they're still just having a meeting or a strategy-based sort of discussion. Or scenario B, they're on foot. They're all fanning out here on foot as far as the search efforts here today, and it's just nearly impossible to see them because of how wooded and dense the area is. Do you kind of agree with those two scenarios being kind of where we are now here at this hour?
Well, the thing I think where we are today is there's not a large search. We haven't seen any law enforcement vehicles. The only two vehicles we have seen, we saw Chris Laundrie's maroon pickup truck, and we saw a white pickup truck with a trailer that held a green four-wheeler, basically like a little ATV. That was seen going off across into the search area. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for a large search contingency. We're not looking for a bunch of law enforcement. We're looking for two people on a small ATV making their way through this wooded area. And that's, JB, what we haven't been able to find. Because again, say they came out on a road like this, which is fairly easy on one of those small ATVs, they could very easily drive it into this wooded area and be anywhere in this area that we cannot see from up here. So we're not looking for a big search. We're looking for two people on a ATV type vehicle. That's what we're looking for. Those are the only two vehicles we've seen out here today. We haven't seen any law enforcement vehicles. We haven't seen that van we saw yesterday flying the drone. We saw two vehicles parked in a parking lot, a pickup truck and a second pickup truck with a trailer. Two people were seen going into the park, and we haven't seen them since. And that's really what we're looking for. We've gone over the main roads and we haven't seen any vehicles. We've gone through most of the side roads and haven't seen any vehicles. So we're looking for basically just a small ATV that can get almost anywhere in this wooded area. Like, I'll just give you an example, JB. So you're driving down this road, you could very easily take a four-wheel vehicle into this part of the woods, drive down this, and when you get back in here, just go off-roading a little bit and you're back in a wooded area that we couldn't see. So that's where we are now. We've been flying this area. Mickey, the pilot, and myself, we're looking, and as we go, we've been flying a grid pattern, how you would on a regular search, and we've been looking, and normally we can find stuff when there's not anything out here. It's or just two people. We haven't seen them yet, so that's what we're looking for, JB. It's not a large search. It's not like yesterday. This is a small two people search on a small little green ATV Gator type vehicle out here, and so we haven't seen anything, JB.
If only it were bright pink, Paul, right? It would be just way more easy to spot. Paisley Purple,
but
speaking of
camouflage actually works.
Paisley Purple here on Twitter, #HJB. How long can the Chopper Eagle 8HD remain in the air before having to refuel? #Brian Laundrie. So, Paul, I'll let you continue scanning here for any signs of activity, but really quickly, folks here online asking how long do you have here before you have to go to Venice to refuel?
Probably about 5-10 more minutes. We have a total of usually about an hour 40 minutes in the air, hour 45, depending how much fuel we can put on. And fuel is based on weight, and then it all depends on how we fly. If we're flying fast, we burn more. If we're not going as fast, we don't burn as much. But we had to come down here from Tampa, so that burned quite a bit and gave us probably about 45 minutes of search time down here over the area. But again, we've been flying this pattern, and we have not seen anything other than the two vehicles parked in the parking lot. Now, one thing they could do as well is they can park the ATV under a tree and walk even further in. And so that's kind of where we are now, what we're looking for. And I mean, we see lots of stuff down here. Like we've seen just different things on the side of the road, like trash cans, pipes, like this thing. But we haven't seen the ATV out here yet. But we'll keep looking till we have to go. But I'll throw it back to you, JB.
Thanks, Paul. As always, mic's going to be left open here if you find something that you want to point out. Appreciate it, Paul. Back here with you live, everybody, on WFLA Now. Yeah, you know, I have up here the, let's see, general discussion, 8 a.m. Eastern, October 7th, 2021 here. To folks on Reddit, I'd like to feature some of your comments here as well, so you can use #HJB here as well. We are trying to engage with as many platforms here as possible as far as social media. And again, a big shout out to the folks on Reddit who have been following this and every little itsy bitsy development as they've been happening here over the last month. So really appreciate all the folks there on that platform here as well. Let's get to some of the other comments that are coming in. Let's see.
Yeah, I guess.
Let's go to Brittany on Twitter, #AJB. Any chance the parents haven't made a public plea for help in finding Brian because the Carlton Reserve is closed off to the public since they allegedly, genuinely believe that he is there? Any chance that the parents haven't made a public plea for help in finding Brian because the Carlton Reserve is closed off to the public since they allegedly and genuinely believe that he is there? I suppose that is true. I think that there's just been a lot of commenters online saying that
Leanne, it's funny that you say that because I've been thinking that there are so many bugs in Florida. This isn't like California or the desert where there's no flying bugs. He has to be eaten up alive because he's most likely camped during the day and moving at night. And the bugs in Florida at this time of year are horrendous, let alone swamps. He has to either have bug spray or he's not there. There's just no way you can survive 24 days in Florida swamps with all the flying bugs. Forget the land animals. All the flying bugs, there's no way. You would have to be in a full suit covered in order for it to even make sense.
Just being able to just stay in your home and not do anything and just communicate sparsely through your attorney just doesn't add up to normal behavior for for parents who are genuinely in fear.
No, but I mean like California, Arizona, Vegas, they don't have like flying mosquitoes. There's no mosquitoes. There's no bugs that will bite you. And no, I don't like California. They don't have flying bugs. That's why you can leave everything open. I don't know. I don't think Arizona does either. A lot of the places on the West Coast don't have flying bugs, flying roaches.
Fear for their son's safety. That's the commentary online, and I think that a lot of it is very much in agreement that that there hasn't been. We have this incredible showing of strength and grace from Gabby Petito's family, the Nicole Schmidt, Joe Petito, Tara Petito, and Jim Schmidt. They've just made multiple appearances, whether it be in press conferences or recently.
Speaking of, if you guys have not watched part 2 of Dr. Phil, it's on Dr. Phil's website. Oh my God. I mean, Dr. Phil's YouTube, it is heart-wrenching. And Joe Petito, he's just the epitome of a good man. He really is. Granted, we only see one side of him. We don't know what he was like prior. But what an amazing man he is. Just his attitude and, just the way he was talking. And what a great guy, honestly, from what I've seen. I mean, he could be a wife beater for all I know, but I don't think so. But he really just comes across like such a great guy.
On Dr. Phil and speaking and asking for help, asking for any help possible. Why aren't we seeing that from the other family here? And to the commenter's point here, it could be because the reserve here isn't necessarily a place that the public can just go wandering for one person, but it has struck a lot of folks as odd that there hasn't been any plea or any effort whatsoever by Chris and Roberta Laundrie to find their son. I think that's been stated many times over and over again. Oh, Paul found something here.
Okay, JB, we found it.
10-4, Paul. You're live.
Hey, this is it. This is what they were riding in. We found this. Now they're on foot, so it was tough enough to find this. We just happened to hit it on a certain area, but this is the vehicle they rode in. They came back in this, and so they're going to be somewhere off on foot in this area. So I'm going to get a little bit of video of this, and we're going to look in this area before we have to leave. But this is what they came out onto, and now they came into this area, and now they're on foot. So they're somewhere back here on foot. So they came back into this area of trees, they parked, and then they went on foot, and where they went is anybody's guess there, but they're back somewhere in this area on foot, and we'll keep looking here until we have to leave, and then once we refuel we can come back and maybe see if we can track them down. But somewhere back in here, and they've had probably an hour head start. So we'll look back in that area and see, but I want to show you, this is what they were searching on. We thought they might have gotten further than they really did, but this vehicle is the only search vehicle that we've seen out in the reserve today. We haven't seen any law enforcement vehicles, we haven't seen anything other than this, and we don't even know who's driving it. It's not labeled as a law enforcement vehicle. So again, that's the vehicle they drove off into the woods in. They got off there, and they're now searching by foot, but they're not with a large contingency. They're just with two people. Two people got off the truck. Chris Laundrie was one of them, or Chris Laundrie was one of them, and a different person, and we don't know who that person is, if he's law enforcement, who he is. But again, this is the area they parked. And so they went one way or the other. This way is wet. And this way. I mean, you can see different paths can go anywhere from here. So we'll keep looking in this specific area. When we'll go get fuel.
Hold up. So let's go back to my original theory. We don't even know who Chris is with. He may not even be with another officer. He may be with a friend. Like, that looks like a regular golf cart. They're saying the FBI is not there. The police aren't there. He very well, that's what I'm saying, Quinny. Who's they? But he very well might just be dropping off supplies for his son. I mean, granted, now they know where to look, but I don't know. This whole thing is weird and sketchy and something doesn't add up. Which makes me think maybe this is all plotted by the FBI and they know he's going to drop off materials for his son or something, or maybe they're setting Brian up. Aha, there's another plot twist. What if his dad is setting Brian up? What if they're having his dad drop off items so Brian will come get them and that's when they'll grab them? Think about it. Exactly. Maybe it's a trap. That's why there's no FBI there. There's no cops there. Maybe dad's involved. Mom wants no part of it. Mom doesn't want to know what's going on. She'd rather pretend like, you know, she doesn't know anything. If he's hiding in there, they may just want the dad to be there so he feels comfortable. Possible. But there's no FBI agents there. That's what I'm saying. There's nobody there. It's just Chris and this other guy. I don't know. It could be a setup. It definitely could be a setup.
And then when we come back, we'll focus on this area because they're somewhere out in here on foot. It's just a matter of where. And you can see in the trees, there's water. So they could be anywhere out in this area. And we'll keep looking and let you know. But we did find the vehicle. So now we're...
All right, he's talking about water, but I see plenty without water. There's no water here. There's no water here. There's no water here. There's no water over here. He's only talking this one little spot, which they could be over here. This is water, but over here is not. Oh, I think he'll be found eventually, Captain Obvious. He will be found eventually. Just a matter of who, what, when, where, and why. Who, what, when, where, why, and how, I don't know. Who's going to catch him, don't know. But he'll eventually be caught.
Just looking for the people. But again, I'll give you one more shot of the vehicle. But that's the extent of the search, JB, right there. So there's two people.
Like, there's tons that's not water. He could be in this little doodad. He could be right here. Oh, that looks like water. What's that? Oh my God, I see Brian right there. No, seriously. I don't know. Call me crazy, call me skeptical, but you just gotta have faith in the FBI that they know what they're doing. You have to. It's almost like you have to have faith in the government that they know what they're doing, because how are we going to live in a society if we don't have faith in the powers that be? You know, like you got to have faith. You just have to, even when you don't want to. You just kind of have to have faith in the FBI.
People now out in the woods walking, and we'll try to see where they went. But again, they can be anywhere under all of these trees, which is more than likely where they are. We'll just have to see if they pop out at any minute, because again...
Paul, maybe I can help you out just here a little bit. We're going to go split screen here for our audience, and it's not like it's going to be a very bright color here, Paul, but...
Like, what the hell is he carrying in his pocket? Hold on. Hold on. I'm going to play with that volume for a second. You're going into the forest to look for your son, or the swamps, or whatever. You're going into bad areas to look for your son. Can you please tell me why your pocket is full? This is why I say he's dropping something for Brian. Look at his legs. Why you got so much shit in your pockets? Why are your pockets bulging out? What the fuck is this? You guys get what I'm saying? Like, this isn't normal. Unless he's wearing, like, some kind of armor. But this right here is strange. But look at his pockets. He's got something here. Maybe a gun for alligators. This might be a gun. This right here could be a gun for alligators or something. But you know what I'm saying, though? Something. I think that's what I said originally, Joy, that he's dropping off supplies. He's going to secretly drop them off, but his pockets are full, like seriously full.
It's going to be a very bright color here, Paul, but Chris Laundrie here seen with a green, dark green cap, kind of a light baby blue, grayish kind of.
He had stuff in his back pocket. He had, look at his pants. I'm not crazy. Move, camera guy. He's got something here. He's got something here. He's got something here. I mean, why do you need all this ammo to go look for your son? He's got a lot of shit covered. Like a lot of stuff in his pockets. Plus a bag. So even the way he was walking was weird. Like he literally, he's packed to the waist. He's all lumpy. Seriously. He's got stuff everywhere. And look at the way he's walking. He's got something in the front. We can't see the other side. Looks like something's in his boot. He's got stuff here, stuff here. He's got something here. He is fucking loaded. And look at the way he's walking. This is something. He's walking weird. Yeah, he is stuffed to the max. Something is not right. Sorry, something is not right. He is stuffed to the hills.
Very neutral colors here, nothing too bright or vibrant that you'd be able to see there, but for what it's worth, wearing a green hat, and that's of course not the color that you would want to be able to spot somebody from the sky, but there's a pretty basic description. And Paul, I don't know if you had a chance to see the video from our cameras before you left for to launch from Eagle, but it's not necessarily colors that are going to be easily spotted by Eagle 8 HD in the air.
Yeah, but if we see any kind of movement, that's what we key in on. And now that we have a specific area, we can kind of go out, and it's just a matter of them.
Okay, just curious, why are the news people showing people's license plates? They could at least etch out the license plates. I mean, that's kind of wrong.
Coming out from under these trees. Because you see, if they're out in the open, we would definitely spot them. But we believe they're now hiking underneath the heavily wooded area, which is probably where they're searching now. But we'll keep looking, and we'll let you know if we see anything.
Paul, I know that fuel is a resource that is oh so precious here, but we'll let you continue, of course, scanning here and hovering here over this one spot, and we'll keep our eyes peeled. We'll go full screen.
Okay.
All right, folks, so we're not exactly sure how much longer we're going to have Eagle 8 HD
area
here.
So we're going to go over to Venice and get fuel, and we should be back up in the air in about 25 minutes.
10-4, Paul. Paul Lamison, everybody, in Eagle 8 HD. And what we're going to...
Yeah, but even more of a reason, Erica, if they're undercover policemen, you definitely want to cover that license plate.
Do here in a bit, we're going to take a bit of a break here and step away, and then when Eagle 8 HD is back here over the area, we can, of course, resume our live here, and we'll stay here with you live in certain places. I think we'll be able to stay live on YouTube and maybe on Facebook, well, definitely on WFLA.com. WFLA.com is always live. It's always our live player lives there. And as far as then distributing that out to our social media platforms there, I know that we're going to be able to stay live on YouTube and perhaps on Facebook, but we'll see. Now, of course, we have a spot of reference to the Reddit community. I did see that somebody was kind enough to pass along some coordinates, very, very much, and this is what I'm talking about. A big shout out to, again, the Reddit community there for you have to understand, we're balancing trying to follow comments on so many different platforms at once, and thousands of comments are coming in every hour across all of our platforms at once. It can be just like this is a needle in a haystack kind of search for Chris Laundrie and law enforcement here on that ATV. It's also a needle in a haystack to find one really meaningful comment here across all of our platforms. But that's what we try to do. But to the Reddit community, I see you, appreciate you, and let's take some more questions and comments from our queue here. In the meantime, Coffee Addict on Twitter. I forgot my coffee this morning. I wish that I had my coffee this morning. Hashtag Brian Laundrie. How many law enforcement / unmarked vehicles are at the park today? As many as yesterday? No. Or is it just a couple that are accompanying CL, Chris Laundrie? Hashtag AJB. And based on, again, Paul's reporting here from Eagle 8 HD, it is not as noticeable here from the air here today as far as the amount of vehicles that are there at the Carlton Reserve there. We had 15 vehicles yesterday, a drone, including a cane.
All right, if you just got here and you're a little behind, let me give you an update. So Chris Laundrie decided he's going to help in the search for his son. What I noticed, though, was Chris leaving his house, he's packed to the hills. Every pocket he has is stuffed. He's got stuff along his waistline. He's got lots of stuff. Plus, he was carrying a bag. I personally think he thinks he's smarter, and I personally believe he's dropping items off for Brian. This is how they're going to catch Brian. Whether he's doing it with FBI warning or doing it on his own, I don't know, but he's definitely packing some items. If he comes home without those items, we have that answer. But I don't know if we're going to see it. Hopefully we will, but something isn't right.
Canine there as well, and this looks to be a much more concise, smaller effort here, but it does involve, for the very first time here, Chris Laundrie, the father of Brian Laundrie. Lisa Harmon on Twitter, and we're going to follow Eagle 8 HD back to Venice. Our flight radar community there, I know that there's a great flight tracking community there. Hashtag one of us on Reddit. They'll be following Eagle as it makes its trip back to Venice, comes down on the ground, refuels, relaunches, gets back there over those same coordinates there. Lisa Harmon, hashtag HeyJB on Twitter. Maybe this has been asked and I missed it. Is it common that members of the media are in direct communication via personal text with an attorney involved in a criminal case of this magnitude, or really any magnitude? And I'll say this. I've noted here on stream that Stephen Bertolino's texting patterns have been a bit strange. Sometimes he'll release one statement to one member of the media and then something completely different. I almost picture him sitting in his office on Long Island in New York and just like texting back every reporter's inquiry individually, and just like, which sounds very strange, because you would think that somebody would just copy and paste the same exact message to everybody and then just, okay, copy, paste, and then paste, send, paste, send, paste, send, paste, send. But, and it has actually become more of that in the last several days, but about a week ago, it was individual and varied responses here. But I will tell you this, Lisa, it's become way more. I have attorneys in my phone that are experts and that do handle large cases here in the Tampa Bay area that I can text at any moment to get some insight or ask questions about a particular case. It's actually really more common now in 2021 to be in contact with an attorney in that way versus maybe 10 years ago when everything was kind of put out via statements or you would just make a phone call. But texting has really changed the way that attorneys communicate with the media. Absolutely. Shaylin Rose Rumsey, hashtag HJB, hypothetically speaking, maybe Cassie's plea for Brian and their parents worked. Is this a result of, I've seen two questions asked in this way. Is this a result of Cassie Laundrie's publicity of late, her being vocal and speaking to the media and speaking to Good Morning America and speaking to the demonstrators outside of her home? Or could this be related to Dr. Phil's two-part interview with the Schmidt and Petito families? Very, very interesting here that we've had more appearances here from key members of these families.
Okay, JB, let me stop you right there. Okay. Someone that murders somebody is not going to feel, and goes on the run, doesn't feel guilty because of Dr. Phil. I know that you may want to think that, but they don't. The parents have been as quiet as possible, doing the right thing. They also don't give two shits about what Dr. Phil thinks. They wouldn't speak to the Petitos to begin with, so I really don't think they care what the Petitos think to begin with. I'm just using logic here. So to throw Dr. Phil that it may be pressure, nah, not buying it at all. I don't think any logical person's going to buy that. We're not dealing with someone who has a, clear conscience, and he's obviously running scared. Dr. Phil is nothing. He's not even a real doctor. He doesn't give a shit. But it could be they're protecting their other daughter and their grandkids and maybe future grandkids. So let's not put Dr. Phil on a pedestal. Just saying.
Very visible appearances here from these families, and now we have some activity here from Chris Laundrie participating in the search. Coincidence? Maybe. But it's just hard to say for sure. I'd be very curious to know, Shaylin here, to kind of hop off of this. Has there been communication in the last several days between Cassie Laundrie and her parents? There was clearly a divide. She said that she hasn't heard from her parents in some time. In the meantime, while Eagle 8 HD here has frozen its shot here as it prepares to land, we'll show you the video from this morning. This is again from this morning. Chris Laundrie leaving his home with that plastic bag here, leaving in the red Dodge Ram here and the maroon Dodge Ram, if you will. Oh, that's Eagle's tone going up here to let us know that the shot is down, and leaving here and then heading over to the Mayaca side of Carlton Reserve. But yeah, has there been any communication? Thanksgiving's coming up. I know I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but what is Thanksgiving going to look like for the Laundrie family this year? Does Cassie does Cassie come over for Thanksgiving? How massive is the fracture for this family? What is, family is all about, coming together and being unified, and especially on holidays, right? Holidays around the corner. We're closing in on Halloween here, then Thanksgiving, and then, of course, we have...
Captain Obvious, I completely agree with you, and I've said that from jump, that I really believe they did that to protect her. I really don't think that she's shady. I think they were doing it to protect her, to protect her kids, keep her out of it, want no part of it, and I don't think that makes them horrible parents for doing so. I think it makes them nice parents and good grandparents for doing so.
A lot of wet, circular areas. I'm a Washington State person. Can anyone explain these geological features to me? Thank you. That's very interesting because I live here in this area, and that doesn't seem all that strange to me, but it might seem strange to you.
Brady, what's my theory on what part? There's a million different aspects of this case. So you have to be more specific. What's my theory on what?
The Everglades, very swampy, murky, and water will build and it will saturate on the ground. We get so much rain here in Florida that water will pool and build, and the ground here is very different.
Yeah, that's definitely way off, Brady. No, I don't think Brian called at all. I don't think Brian wants to be found. I don't think he wants his dad to find him. I don't think he wants to make his dad look good. I think that's way off base. I don't believe his parents definitively know where he is. But I do believe that they believe he's in there. I believe dad right now is bringing him supplies, whether that is FBI attributed or doing it on his own, because there's no FBI agents there. I don't know if they expect Brian to pop out or Brian to grab these items, and that's how he's going to get caught. But, why isn't Christopher Laundrie there with the police? Why is he only with one other person with a golf cart, and that golf cart may be the person that works at the reserve? It could be the park rangers for the reserve, and that's why they have a green and yellow golf cart. So I don't know. I believe dad is packing a lot of materials in his body. So it could be FBI asked him to do this, or he's doing it on his own. But I think that's how they're going to catch him. If my theory is right, Brian will be caught over the next couple of days, because he's going to come out to grab these items. It's been almost 24 days, 23 days, somewhere around there. He's got to be out of materials. So I really think if dad's doing this without the FBI, then dad's doing this to drop off material. If dad's doing with the FBI, he's also dropping off material. But that's how Brian's going to get caught. Why haven't they been interested in help from the beginning? Why would they? I don't know if I'd help if I knew my son was there. Kind of like they don't want to know. Or because they've been prisoners in their own home. They might just feel like they've had enough. But this man is packed all over the place. In his waistband, he's got stuff. In his pockets, he's full. He's got something there. He's packed everywhere. So, I don't know.
I think that there are people questioning why. I'm questioning why now.
Right.
Why now all of a sudden? And also, too, whether or not the FBI asked him to be there. Now, we have the statement from Stephen Bertolino.
Right.
But did the FBI say, we need your help? Because that's not something that you can picture the FBI saying, like, Chris, we've been looking here and we can't find Brian, and can you help us? Like, that doesn't sound like something that
they
the
don't
FBI...
need the help. The FBI knows what they're doing in this case. And I asked the attorney that earlier today. I said, can you comment on why he's there? And he says, to assist in any way he can. Then he sent out the statement saying he's assisting law enforcement in the search. He was asked to point out favorite trails and so on. That you've read that statement. But it is interesting, because if this was the case, and this was 3 weeks now, as you mentioned, JB, why not get out there earlier? And the fact that the park is closed is not a very good excuse. I mean, if you're a family member and you're searching for a family member, I think you have clearance, or should have clearance, from law enforcement to go help out.
I agree.
Or a statement to say, hey, we tried, we went down there, there's video of us going down to the park, we were turned away because the park was closed. I would have liked to see that answer instead.
Yep, me too.
And video of them showing, hey, we went down there to try to get into the park, and they said, go home.
Again, another one here from Tracy on Twitter, #HJB. Any idea how normal it is for the FBI to ask a parent to join a search weeks after he's been, quote unquote missing, why wouldn't they have asked his parents weeks ago where he normally hikes? And as we understand it, again, the statement from Bertolino that it was communicated to the FBI, Brian Laundrie's favorite trails and his favorite spots there at the Carlton Reserve, but now we're hearing that having him actually point them out there is way more beneficial. Having him on the ground there is way more helpful to the search efforts, at least according to Stephen Bertolino. But again, why wasn't this done a couple of weeks ago?
And did we not hear from him saying that they did point this out weeks ago? Some of the favorite trails and the favorite hikes. I believe they said that verbally to them. They just didn't go out and show them.
Here's another thing, and I think we all want Brian Laundrie to be found alive. We want him to be found alive, and the best chance of finding him alive right now, if you were looking at a pie chart, okay, and the odds are highest that we find him alive here at the Carlton Reserve, because that's just where the most active search is currently ongoing. But as we kind of go on here, let's just state the obvious. It has to be stated as far as the obvious. Every day that passes here, the chances of him being found alive here at the Carlton Reserve drop, and it might significantly, yeah. And it might be a little, but and the slope, I'm imagining almost like a slope, like the odds of finding Brian Laundrie alive, and I would imagine that it's sloping downward here with each and every passing day, and that means that time is of the essence. And if time is of the essence, then why didn't Chris Laundrie get brought in here to point out these trails and point out these potential hotspots?
Okay, in all fairness, though, you probably figure the FBI is going to catch him, and you don't have to worry about it. 21, 22, I think it's like 24 days now, 23 days. You're probably at the point like, okay, maybe the FBI is not going to catch him. Maybe we need to go help. We don't know. But I definitely agree with you, Savannah. There's way, way more to this. There has to be. And we just don't know what it is.
Reserve. Yesterday we did see the increase in agencies. Sarasota Sheriff came in, other agencies came in. There was a bigger response. So all of the timing is interesting if you look at it.
It is. Looking here at some more questions and comments that are coming in here. There are a lot of comments here that we can't animate on screen because they're just, it's trolling comments here, and we're just not. I don't care which hashtag you use. We're not going to animate a comment here.
Where did you leave with Paul? I didn't see it before when you guys were live.
So Paul tracked down the ATV. It was empty. The seats on the ATV were empty. We
that was a Gator, right? Like a John Deere Gator.
Yeah. Yes, it was, and and it was very evident that they had gone from that point on foot.
Yeah.
So Eagle 8 HD, everybody, is refueling right now in Venice, Florida. I'm sure that our wonderful flight aware and flight radar community on Reddit they probably know more about where Eagle 8 HD is right now than I do.
Has Paul told you flight time on that helicopter? I know that's one that we're using.
Well, he says he'll be back here in flight time.
Like how long can he fly before it's different?
All right, let me put it like this. And I've been thinking about this. The fact that the FBI doesn't have 30 people around the father, and think this through. The fact that there aren't tons of cops surfaced around the father or where they're searching is a big red flag. There's a huge red flag that dad is out there alone with one person. That's not right. This is the news police and the news people, news reporters, cops, undercover cops have all been watching their every move. So because they watch their every move, they can't get away with anything. Brian's not going to just come up, walking through the back gate. And you see this, 4 people follow him. But yet when the helicopter guy was over there, it was only Christopher and one other guy. The guy who probably works at the park from looking at the golf cart. So how can they sit here and say that Christopher isn't planning anything when they would be watching him? They're watching his every move. So the FBI has to have him planning stuff for Brian to come get. That is the only logical explanation of why there aren't a swarm of officers around him, why nobody's watching him, why he's only there with one other person in the middle of the woods, because they could get lost, they could get eaten by alligators, something can happen. That's the only logical explanation, in my opinion, that makes sense as to why he's out there all by himself. So if anybody has any thoughts otherwise, please let me know, because I'm watching this and I can't think of any other logical explanation for this.
Large. He knows he can buy some time and think about what his next move would be. And if he's not receiving local support from parents, maybe he knew that. Maybe he knew they couldn't speak. The attorney's saying to the parents, don't talk. This is your right to remain silent, so do that. And so I think if Brian was aware of that fact, he wants... any of us would want to protect our parents in that regard and not bring them into something that could be a bad situation. So that's why I think, personally, I think that's why, if he's experienced as we hear he is, and he's not some kind of survivalist.
It's not body identification. Nobody's out there with the father. The father is out there with what I believe to be a park ranger, out there by himself. There's no cops with him. There's no FBI with him. He's out there all by himself. He could plan something. But yet here, there's people that are following him, so we know he's being watched. So where's all the people there? Like, I'm telling you, this is a setup by the FBI. And Christopher has decided to work with the FBI in this setup. And if Brian has a half a brain, he's not going to fall for it. But I really believe this is a setup by the FBI and his father. And they're setting Brian up to catch him by dropping off the materials.
Source before we run with something, just like the FBI, I'm sure they get these thousands of tips to say, hey, there's Brian Laundrie here in Montana. Here he is in Tennessee. Here he is in New York. Here he is in Canada. That's a lot of stuff, and all of a sudden, just 4 places. Think of the resources that would go into having to track that lead down to confirm it to be correct or to be unfounded. So I think, yeah, for sure, the FBI has been wrong in the past, and nobody's perfect. And I think even though they're super talented and they know what they're doing, I think they're very careful, though, not to go down the wrong path, because that eats resources, and really, this is a race against time to find this guy.
We just had a comment here, and again, I'm trying to get more comments from Reddit involved here, and Munch Mac. I can't say this name, but it was, JB, let me know if you need a gas card for the chopper. I got you. And so, hey,
regular
Reddit,
unleaded.
Reddit, yeah, right, regular unleaded.
About $2.99.
Reddit is ready to step in here, apparently.
No, Casey Anthony had police with her. Christopher Laundrie has no cops with him. He just has, according to the helicopter guy, just one guy who's driving the golf cart, which is probably works at the reserve. That's it. He's not in uniform. That to me is screaming a setup. 100% screaming setup.
Do you have any information that would indicate mental health issues with Brian Laundrie prior to leaving on his road trip with Gabby Petito? And I don't, there's nothing on the record as far as mental health issues. There's nothing even off the record that we have heard as far as mental health issues. But we have talked at great length here about what Brian Laundrie's mental state is right now, if he is aware of the amount of coverage right now that is being poured into, and the amount of FBI resources that are being poured into his disappearance and his whereabouts. And that, of course, would be, you talked about this yesterday on stream, Josh, too, how taxing and how the weight would be so heavy on that person's mind, and being found would almost then be a relief in a way, because just the mental weight of carrying all of that knowledge, knowing that the entire world is looking for you, it's I used this word last night, I'll use it again. It's gargantuan as far as the amount of weight that would be on that person's mind. To answer Captain Dust 1000's question here, we don't know of any mental health issues, but mental health is very much part of the conversation with where we are now in this FBI-led criminal investigation.
You know, I had an interesting message on Twitter from somebody who watched the dad walk out and get in his truck. And, you know, this person, you know, everybody is looking at these parents as kind of public enemy number one right now. But she said something interesting. She said, you know, I look at this dad and going to search for his son.
As far as a bunker goes, hey, Angelique, he wouldn't have had time to build a bunker underground and clean up the surface immediately. He wouldn't have had time to do that. He'd only had like a week. It would take a long time to build a bunker like that, in my opinion.
And the feeling he must have knowing that he could be dead or alive and he's going to try to find him right now. Strip away everything about the case. And I'm not defending this family whatsoever. I'm just looking at this from a human interest standpoint. The challenge of this woman says for a dad to have to get in his truck and say, I'm going to go try to find my son today. That's pretty heavy stuff. You know, whether you like the Laundries or not, whether you think they're guilty or not, like here's the video I'm talking about. And I found that just to be kind of fascinating because it is true. I mean, any dad, no matter what you think of a situation, you love your kids for the most part. Most of us dads do. And to have to go into that situation, whether that person's guilty or not, that would be tough. So I found that interesting, you know, since there's so much stuff about the Laundrie parents and just, you know, they can't stand seeing him or not helping. And I get that. I get the frustration there. But just wanted to bring that point up because I thought it was really interesting. It was kind of a 180 from what a lot of people are talking about today.
I have another comment here that I'm loading in here from Reddit. I'll get that one coming up here in just a second, but let's take this one. We'll go back to Facebook here for just a second to get to this one here from Debbie Littlefield. There's so many questions and comments right now, by the way, pertaining to could this be possible and could that be possible and is this scenario plausible and is that scenario plausible, and we'll do our very best here to again stay rooted in fact and try to break down fact versus fiction here, but there's just so many people asking some wild questions here, and we'll do our very best here to throw them on screen and be...
No, Grey Wolf, we don't know that yet. We don't know. That's one of the things that everyone's been trying to find out. Did the FBI do this? Did Chris do this on his own? Was this by the attorney? Nobody knows that answer. And that would change a lot of things if we did, but yeah, nobody knows that answer.
Contextually accurate here with what is and is not possible. Debbie Littlefield... But before we do that, hashtag KJB, why are they wasting our tax dollars? They ain't found him there yet. I don't think he's in the country. And Josh, I've thought about this.
Yep, I have too.
As far as when it's all said and done, and they total the bill.
Right.
For Northport Police, Sarasota County Sheriff's Office, Bradenton Police was out there yesterday, the FBI, and we might never know the dollars and cents of the FBI's investigation as far as how much money was committed here. But I've been wondering just how large the bill is. Millions. I think we're in the millions range for sure. It just makes you wonder.
And it's not like they're going to just say, okay, here's your bill, Laundrie fam.
Okay, I'm not trying to be an asshole here, but their millions is their own fault for not bringing him in to begin with when they first knew something. So they can take those millions and shove it because it's their own fault. They should have brought him in for questioning from day one. They should have had a better eye on him. So all their money they're spending is their own fault. If they would have brought him in when they were supposed to for questioning, then none of this would even be happening because he'd be in custody. So you know what? It's their own fault. And if I was the Laundrie's attorney, that's exactly what I'd say.
We jump back over to Reddit, and then we're going to come back to some more of the social media platforms here. Mimoxo. Oh, my goodness. Reddit, your names.
They're clever over there on Reddit. The Redditors.
Moxo. I'm going to go with Mamaxo on Reddit, hashtag, or not hashtag, again, just hey JB, do you think that they are using Chris Laundrie for cues to see if he is lying through verbal/nonverbal indicators here? We can't answer this question, and this gets now into all the questions of, is this plausible? Is that plausible? But this, I bring up this one here from Reddit, from Mamaxo. I could probably say it a million different ways. Mamaxo?
Mamaxo.
I'm going to go with Mamaxo. This is an interesting... Can you imagine being the federal agent who's with Chris Laundrie right now? And I would imagine that federal agent right now that is with Chris Laundrie here is trying to pick up on body language and on tone of voice and trying to pick up on just, this is the first time that he's been out there at the reserve. So I'm sure that there's... it's got to be interesting here as far as that dynamic on the ground between that FBI agent or agents, depending on just how many are there with Chris Laundrie and with Chris Laundrie himself.
Yeah, and I appreciate that question because I think a lot of the times we look so in depth on analyzing every little element of a case only to find out later, no, we were just having a chat, or no, he was just pointing out the trails, like nothing was happening. But it is a good point because if you're somebody talented with the FBI and you have so little clues in a case, that could be helpful to kind of bring him out there and watch what he knows and, you know, analyze his reactions and try to get some information that could help them.
Not to mention that cross-referencing is going to be key because, okay, if Chris Laundrie did give information weeks ago about the trails and some of the camping spots that were used by Brian Laundrie, and then he's there today, and what he says today, and again, we're going deep down hypotheticals here, so everyone's got to bear with me here. We're kind of going down the rabbit hole here. But if what he says today is contradictory to something that he said a couple of weeks ago, I would imagine that would be a red flag for the FBI to say, wait a minute, you told us to look here a couple of weeks ago. Why all of a sudden are we looking here? Or if they look at a new spot, they would say, Chris, this is vital information. Why didn't you come forward with this weeks ago when we interview you in your home? Why are we just finding out? So cross-referencing the statements now between Chris Laundrie being there today at the Carlton Reserve and what he indicated weeks ago when he communicated initially with the FBI, that is also another very, very important component here to the dynamic between the FBI and Chris Laundrie here at the Reserve.
And look, do we know that an FBI agent is with him right now?
We know that he is there and he's being...
With an individual.
With an individual.
But the person who brought in the vehicle, as far as I know, was with the Division of Forestry. So that vehicle was shown to pull up with the gator and could that person be with him? I mean, maybe he's not with FBI whatsoever. I mean, you would assume he's with FBI because they want to know everything that's going on.
To just give him like a liaison, just a driver, and not have...
I would think that FBI would be there. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No, I totally understand. No, you're right. Because
we don't necessarily know who's with him.
I'm very curious because now Eagle 8 HD is heading back there with a full tank of fuel.
Gas.
Yep, and ready to go. And I just want to say that I'm looking forward to Eagle now having a full tank of gas, having coordinates here, and I want to see Chris Laundrie here, whether it's with the liaison or with the FBI. I want to see him on the ground. I want to know what that looks like.
Well, and it's pretty thick, you said, right? The coverage. So I mean, will we be able to see anybody
if he stays in the shade? And which, believe me, in Florida, you want to stay in the shade as much as you can with how hot it is, even in October. It's hot. It's hot out there. It's muggy. It's hot. So you want to be in the shade, but you can't be just in the shade for the entirety of today's visit. You're going to have to, of course, be out there, and I'm hoping that we do see it from Eagle 8 HD once we're back airborne here. And I'm looking on our grid, nothing yet.
But I think it's just interesting to see the strategy today to bring him out all of a sudden. The time we talk about why now, it's just so interesting to, what do they have out there? What do they see? What is it just dead ends? And they think, well, if we bring him out here, maybe we can get on a hot new trail. Or do they have something specific they want to show him? Is there a campsite out there? Is there something out there that they've found? Is it something that they need him to kind of, you can't put it in a bag and bring it to the house. We have to go show him that's what I'm thinking maybe is the case. They got to go show him something that could be representative of what Brian would have done, since his dad probably knows him best.
How about this one? We're going to take another one here from Reddit. Reddit also commenting here in real time. And does a chopper have fuel or gas?
Fuel.
Okay, so what did you say? I thought I said fuel.
I said gas, but I just
No,
tank of gas is just.
Yeah, it's just interesting because
got
we
a
said it
full
at the same time, and it was like
I mean, I believe it is. It's not. They're not going to put like, 10W30 in there. They're not going to put like, what is it? Regular unleaded.
No, it's of course it's fuel for.
It's not diesel. I don't know what it is. Does anybody know?
Jim would know.
Jim, what kind of fuel is in a chopper? Jet fuel.
Aviation
Yeah.
jet fuel. Yeah.
See, perfect.
How about Soap Bell on Reddit? Hashtag, and I want to say hashtag HJB because that's just the system, and I've read tens of thousands of hashtag HJB comments over the years. Do you think that the FBI is having Chris Laundrie see if he can identify anything from that campsite that they found yesterday? This is the CNN report now, and this was on Cuomo's show last night, the campsite that they found there. And that is another variable here, another board, a piece on the chessboard, if you will. We talked about the elevated presence of law enforcement there yesterday, the drone, the canine, just 15 vehicles total combing through Carlton Reserve on the Mayaca side yesterday. Then, of course, the details, and Josh, I was following you on Twitter last night, the details come out about Chris Laundrie's potential involvement as far as assisting law enforcement. That all, of course, blew up on social media.
Right.
And then on Chris Cuomo's show last night, we have this source that indicates that there was a campsite, and now people asking about whether or not that, if it all kind of fits in here, and that's why Chris Laundrie is here at the campsite today.
Well, that's interesting too, because we don't know if that's true. That's CNN's source. We don't know where that source came from. We have not heard anything about a campsite, so it's important to note that that's CNN reporting that, and whoever their source is sounds like a good source, because if they have somebody on the inside of that search, that's pretty impressive, because the FBI is very tight-lipped about what's going on there. Or they're hearing back from the search and a family member or some member connected to the family is giving them that information, but we cannot confirm that. But that was my point earlier. Maybe they're bringing him out to see something that's bigger than being able to put in a bag and bring to the house to have him confirm.
Let's go through now some of those. We're waiting for Eagle to get back airborne here, folks. Let's get to some of those ones where I said now that going a little bit deep down the rabbit hole here. I really like to feature as many comments here as possible, a variety of different comments here as possible. But with a story that has received this much attention, and there's been so much theorizing going on here, so much baseless storytelling that has been going on here that has launched from fact and then gone into the periphery of just baseless storytelling here, and people asking, is this possible? Is that possible? Oh, this could be possible. That means it is possible. There's so many questions here in our queue that aren't really rooted in reality, but we can bring them up here to at least kind of talk to you about some of these things that you've been reading online. And that's part of what we do here at WFLA Now. The idea here is with interactive journalism here that we can, instead of just let the social media comment section run wild, and we know no matter what we do, it's going to run wild across all platforms, we can at least talk to you here about some of the things you're reading online and tell you whether or not they are rooted in fact, whether or not they are baseless in fiction.
All right, mods, that is my new attitude. I'm going to learn from JB, and instead of dismissing these ridiculous theories that are based on nothing, we're going to address them so we can separate fact from fiction. So thank you, JB. I'm going to remember that, and I'm going to address that. So mods, remember that. Don't rule out baseless stuff. We have to explain it to people of why it doesn't make sense. Thank you, JB.
Eagle is grounded, not returning, and as I understand it, it is a resource-based decision. We have, of course, been accumulating so many hours.
Seriously, how many hours in the air?
I've been here for a few years at WFLA.
And you know what I love about it? I'm getting comments from Twitter and just saying, hey, get the chopper over there now. Like I have a switch I can flip and say, hey guys, just put the chopper up over there. You don't have an idea how many resources it takes just to get that chopper up in the air and to fly there and to come back.
And I want to reference
and the expense.
The tweet yesterday that I made while we have this opportunity. So before I do that, let me just kind of address Eagle 8 HD is returning to Tampa, will not be going back to the site here due to for now.
That could change.
That could change. To echo exactly what Josh, JB, and JB here in lockstep.
Never say never.
Never say. See, now you're JB cubed. You just went JB squared, and now it's JB cubed because it's JB, and then the JB that you just referenced with Never Say Never. But Eagle 8 HC returning to Tampa due to resources here, and I have never covered a story here, WFLA, where this amount of hours and this amount of fuel and this amount of money was committed to one story in particular so much. When we look back at the amount of Eagle flights that were committed to this story, the pie chart is going to be very one-sided with this story.
But look, it's a huge story. I mean, it's in our backyard. It's like the whole nation, the whole world is talking about this story. So we want to make sure we give you as much as we can on the coverage.
Yep. And we'll continue to get through the rest of the questions and comments here in the queue. Let me just really quickly address what happened last night here, because it speaks to this. It speaks to this, okay? So last night, we were, of course, hearing so many different rumblings and unconfirmed reports out there as to the happenings and the occurrences at Carlton Reserve here. Now, people are just like, oh, you just... It's simple. Like, don't you have like a million news crews there? Yeah, but we're not in the reserve. We don't know what's going on in the reserve. And really our only lens to be able to tell you what is going on at the Carlton Reserve is having Eagle 8 in the air. So there was a conversation here based on all the unconfirmed reports, and I was part of this conversation here in our newsroom as to whether or not Eagle was going to make a second trip back there to determine whether or not some of these unconfirmed reports were actually rooted in reality. And I put out on Twitter saying they're unconfirmed, exactly what I'm saying now, that there are unconfirmed reports of some activity, escalated activity at the Carlton Reserve. A stream is possible, could be nothing, could be something. And I've said that many times, could be something, could be nothing. And there was a discussion here. We did send Eagle 8 HD. And that was every time that we send Eagle 8 HD, especially from Tampa all the way down to Carlton Reserve back to Tampa, that, speaking to what Josh and I have just been talking about, that's a sizable amount of resources. It is easier for us to do a stream with Eagle rather than hold back. And it was a very difficult decision last night to not do that stream. But we want to, of course, bring you coverage when there is something meaningful, a development that you need to know about there. We could have done a stream last night and just told you that, oh, it's the same as what we told you in the afternoon, but we held back, and it was difficult to do so because of the amount of resources. And of course, we're a news organization. Of course, that when we spend the amount of money to send Eagle 8 HD to the other side of our coverage area, that we want to get as much, we want to be as financially efficient as possible here, but it was difficult, and that's because of our commitment here to you to always try to bring you developments as they occur and not try to just go live for the sake of being live. Does that, Josh, does that make sense?
I think to add to that, a lot of people are frustrated if we're not giving them more coverage, but you got to realize a full operational newsroom has so many stories to cover, and there's, Florida, as you know, is a hotspot for news. It always is. There's so much news going on, as most states, but Florida especially, we have a lot to cover. So we only have one helicopter, and it can't be dedicated to this case all day long. So there's going to be events where we have to take it somewhere else, or we have to jump off to cover something else. You had to do tropic coverage yesterday.
Yep.
There's other stories. We have the Lightning starting soon. The Tampa Bay Lightning team's getting ready to have their home opener. I
have a quick question. There's 145 people watching. How come only 16 are chatting? Where's the other 140 people? How come you guys don't want to chat? I like people in conversations. I'm shocked how little people are chatting. Come on, chat. Come on, lurkers. Chat up.
Here, these hard decisions here as to whether or not a stream is worthy of developments that may or may not be occurring. Sure. But I do that on my WFLA JB Twitter and Instagram and Facebook account to give you a heads up, so that because we stream spontaneously, and I want you to be able to be there for those streams. Like if we just randomly stream and you were eating dinner and you missed it, and then you're like, JB, why didn't you give us a heads up? Why didn't you tell us a little bit in advance? Well, that's what I have to do here. And sometimes we are going to stream in that scenario. Other times we're not. And last night, of course, we did not. Let's kind of rapid fire here through the queue. Again, if you're just joining us, Eagle 8 HD is not returning to the Carlton Reserve due to resources and conserving resources.
For now.
And
I'm going to just throw that in there for the people. For now.
For now.
There is hope.
It could change. Let's get to the rest of the queue here, and some of the comments that have been coming in here. And again, these are now the comments going, as I referenced earlier, we're all circling back here. These are the comments now that go a little bit deep into the rabbit hole. and we're going to kind of talk to you about this. This is the interactive journalism part that I was telling you about. Debbie's comment we just had. Let's get to Brenda Hicks Castleberry, #KJB, #KJosh. Perhaps they offered immunity to parents if they bring him home alive. Just a thought. And this is again deep question down the rabbit hole here, but I can't envision this scenario, Josh. And
no, I think there's too many questions to even put that on the table. They don't know. Technically, they don't know who killed Gabby Petito or how she died. I mean, homicide, but they don't know the manner of death or who is responsible, and if there are any people involved in that. So I don't think they would offer up such a blanket immunity just to bring him back alive. But that's a deep question, Brenda. I think that's a good question. My opinion, I just don't think they would offer that this early in the investigation.
I agree. Katie Zent, #KJB. Could they just be separating the parents? Maybe trying different.
No, I don't, Lioness. I don't think they're negotiating anything. I think Dad went there to drop off materials. I just don't know if the FBI asked him to, if he's doing it on his own, but being that the dad is so packed, like literally so packed in his pants, I am kind of thinking that Brian really is there. And I didn't originally, but I kind of think he is there.
Tactics to get them to say something. This, again, down the rabbit hole here, really deep down the rabbit hole with some of these questions and comments that are coming in here. But Katie, that would be under the assumption that they're having conversations right now with Roberta Laundrie. And there's no indication right now that they're talking to Roberta Laundrie. It's just Chris, who you see here in the center of your screen, at Carlton Reserve. And I'm sure that there are conversations being had. I'm sure that they're, that's why he's there today. But to say that they're being separated specifically to see if you can get one to say something versus the other, it just
made me think of something. It'd be interesting though, is the conversation between Chris and the attorney.
I've heard a lot of people talk about gators. Let me tell you what I do know from actually another case. That if a gator did eat him, there would still be remnants of him around. There would be his physical ID or any kind of material items. They would have found pieces of his clothes. Alligator's not like a shark. He doesn't eat you whole. He's going to leave remnants of you outside of you. So they haven't even found that, which is why I don't believe an alligator got him. We don't know what kind of knife he had to protect himself or weapons or anything like that. But a lot of people think alligators are like sharks. They're not. They don't eat you whole. There would be pieces of him around, bones around. They would have found something. So that's why I don't think it would have got him. An alligator got him.
People thinking that it's just leisurely Florida life.
Paradise.
It's not. Let's get to Shannon Marie again down the rabbit hole here. #KJB. Could it be the father is tired of the media presence and tired of covering? Maybe he's ready to come forward finally. Is this the fatigue now of Chris Laundrie and Roberta Laundrie getting sick and tired of hearing, folks?
Well, look what happened. Look what happened with the sister. She got tired of the protesters and came out and talked to them. And do we still know if she has representation? I don't know that. I don't know if she has an attorney or not, because an attorney would say, don't talk to protesters and don't talk to the media.
Isn't it fascinating, though? Fascinating at how the narrative online has changed since Cassie Laundrie came out and had a conversation with those demonstrators and did the Good Morning America interview. The narrative has really... It's positive
for her?
I think that based on what I'm seeing on social media...
maybe?
Listen, she's not going to convince everybody.
No.
But she certainly earned points with a lot of people on social media, based on the comments that I've been reading over the last few days, earned a lot of points by coming forward. At least, again, a lot of people reading into it and basing it on what she said and her body language, expressing sincerity there with what she had to say. And the narrative has really changed. We haven't heard much about Cassie this, Cassie that over the last 24 hours.
No,
Josh.
but I think you're going to have a lot of people saying in defense of that or response to that is hard to believe Gabby wasn't brought up on that visit to the campground.
Totally true.
Because if she was, she would have had an answer for the media to say, oh, yeah, we brought her up. And he said, oh, she's fine. Or whatever he would have said. But she didn't offer that up. So there could be some things she still knows that we don't.
Oh, I have something to share. I forgot about this. Last night, when this was all coming out on social media, I get a text from Gabby's mom, Nicole Schmidt, and we're talking back and forth here while all of this is unfolding regarding Chris Laundrie and the assisting in the investigation. And Nicole and I were just kind of shooting some text back and forth here. And there was one thing that she said that really struck me. And I said, can I say this? Can I read this for our WFLA Now audience tomorrow? Would that be okay? And she indicated that it would be okay. And as far as Chris Laundrie's involvement here, her words are, "It's straight up weird. I feel like I'm in a bad Netflix documentary."
And there are a few of those.
But it's almost as if, like, and again, her and I were talking about, and I talked about this with our Twitter audience. I said, well, why now? Why now is he walking out of his home and going over to Carlton Reserve? Why not weeks ago? And this was some of the texting that was going on back and forth between Nicole and I. And she said, again, "It's straight up weird. I feel like I'm in a bad Netflix documentary."
And I think until you find Brian, you're not going to get any of those answers. He's got to come forward or be found. And then I think we'll start hearing more from the attorney, more from why this, why that, why did you guys do this? Obviously, they don't want to incriminate themselves with anything. They don't want to say anything or do anything. But yeah, to make a move like this late in the game is interesting because I don't know. It's just really a curious move this late in the game. And I don't know if it's strategic or not, or if really it's just like, hey, come check something out in the reserve. We want to get your eyeballs on it.
Ramona Hutchinson, #HeyJB. Has anyone heard if this has changed to cert?
It has to be strategic. I'm going to explain why again. The reason why it has to be strategic, because if it wasn't strategic, the FBI, when do they ever ask somebody, the father of a runaway or the father of, someone that's possibly wanted for murder or a person of interest in a murder, since when do they ask the dad for help without a swarm of team behind them? It doesn't happen. This has to be strategic. It has to be. There's no way you can think otherwise. I can't see any other way possible. Is that better? I'm gonna bring my microphone down. That's better. I just cannot. It has to be strategic. I can't think of any other reason the FBI is this blindsided. It's got to be strategic. Has to be.
Search and recovery.
No,
absolutely not. And if it was, it's major news, and it's something that we talk about when we break into our streaming coverage here, so to speak, and we tell you about it with a new stream.
I'm still trying to figure out if they have search dogs, cadaver dogs, or live scent dogs, or if they're using both. Yep. I've been wondering that question for weeks.
I know you've been on the dog and dogs question.
Dog and dogs, yeah.
Dog the bounty hunter.
Dog the bounty hunter's pretty quiet. I stay in touch with his team. They're still here, but they're staying pretty quiet.
Yep, and I'm very curious as to what changed there, because Dog the bounty hunter.
Well, they spent a lot of time in the islands in Fort DeSoto, days and days. So I think they've either exhausted it, or I'm just not getting any updates on where they're at.
Stephanie Schaefer-Hahn, #AJB. Do you think the parents are getting involved now because they feel they are getting caught with trying to cover up where Brian is, so they might get off the hook at the end?
Well, that's what I think. This is what we're talking about, the strategy of how this timeline is changing now, and their willingness to help out. And the attorney is actually deflecting that to say law enforcement is asking for their help. So it's very careful wording on how he's putting it out there. And I've tried to press him on that. Is he just put out the general statement? He keeps referring to that, but wondering, why is law enforcement asking him, hey, come out here now? Or has he wanted to go the whole time and now law enforcement's letting him? I mean, it's semantics trying to figure out who's right in this scenario.
We're gonna kind of bottom out here with this rabbit hole and with these last two comments here, because again, you can go down that hole very, very and find yourself asking and answering questions rather that are just really out there. But we'll take these final two here. Jenny Etta, #AJB. Is it possible that Chris was brought in because authorities do in fact have the hideout and fear that Brian will take his life once confronted? Are they fearful for Brian's safety?
I think that's a really valid point.
And Donna McAdams here, #KJB, is it possible that they are now using his dad so to convince him to surrender without incident, knowing where he may be? Two back-to-back comments here, people asking, are the FBI really honed in now on a specific spot, and they want to bring in Chris Laundrie here to help ensure that this ends peacefully without incident? That's
not too far-fetched, in my opinion. I think think of that scenario. Think of that scenario in any other case when they're getting closer, and you know, as a suspect or person of interest, which he's not a suspect in this case, but a person of interest, or in another case where you are a suspect and they know they're getting closer and closer and closer, and you know what's going to happen. I mean, that's who's going to calm you down in that situation? A loved one, a parent. It's a great strategy. It's a move that could make or break the entire case. So I don't think that's too far-fetched. That's a great point to make.
Anna Patterson, #KJB, best coverage, watching from Australia, down under. Hey, big shout out to our international audience. I've been trying to find out if WFLA.com is accessible from Europe.
I was going to bring that up because so many people are having trouble viewing it. They're going to use a VPN to try to access it. So I was going to send that out today, but we should find out.
And the VPN does work from Europe?
Yeah, that's what they're recommending for these people who can't see the website.
Okay.
And it works.
Okay. So some VPN, I mean, VPNs usually do cost money, but that's a way for our international audience here. If you can't access.
I don't know why it's blocked.
I don't know either. That's a great question.
It could be a security thing because, you know, for websites, you can have DDoS attacks and sometimes block entire countries. But I don't know the makeup of our technology here.
It speaks to the amount of people that are trying to get to that article hub on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. Yeah. Again, we are here. Josh and I very much kind of faces here on WFLA now, but it does not speak to the amount of people that we have working here around the clock here, providing article content in the WFLA.com, WFLA app article hub here. I'm very curious. Speaking of our site, I mean, if the site doesn't work, then the app doesn't work, right? Could somebody in Europe download the WFLA app and get those articles as well? I'm not sure, Josh.
Reach out if you're out there.
We'll find out.
Otherwise, I can jump on a plane quick and fly out and just give it a test.
Josh Benson, everybody, that you'll see on
WFLA
News Channel 8. Anything else you want to add before we let you go, Josh?
No, I think it's just a big day to watch this all unfold. We haven't seen Chris away from his wife, Roberta. We haven't seen him do much outside of the house. So to see him get in his truck and leave alone to head to the reserve and now help in the search for his son is very interesting. It's a big plot on the timeline, and we just want to know how we got to this point and why it's now 3 weeks later and he's just starting to search. You've brought up good questions. Is it they've identified something and they need his help? They can't bring to the house, so they got to bring him there. Is there a situation where they may have Brian in a location and they're fearful for what he could do, so they want the parent there? Very good points. All good points. And we just don't know. So let's wait to find out, but we'll stay on top of it. I'll be on Twitter at WFLA Josh if you want to check out what I post there. Otherwise, always be on WFLA Now. JB doing a great job here running the show and keeping you updated. And hey, if the chopper gets back up, you'll be the first to know.
I want the chopper back up, but I don't make
the big bill.
I don't make the decisions here. So everyone's
a big bill.
It's a big bill,
and it's a gas bill. No, it's a fuel bill.
We always ask for feedback as far as, but again, it's a decision.
So WFLA is part of NBC? That's the NBC Peacock. I didn't realize they were part of NBC. Oh, Lady D, please tell me you did not just say that. Please tell me you didn't just say that. That is ludicrous.
That we have every statement from Stephen Bertolino, every new report that has been coming out here over the last several days. We originally had I'll just speak for myself. There was originally some concern as to how much traction this story would lose if there weren't developments, but there have been developments. And and more than anything, your attention, wherever you're watching from, Australia, Florida, Washington State, somebody said earlier, if you're watching from Canada, the UK, wherever you are watching from, the interest that gets poured into this story keeps things moving forward as far as our ability to talk with our audience here live on WFLA Now. So we really appreciate all of our commenters. There were thousands, perhaps tens of thousands of hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyJosh, and hashtag HeyPaul questions and comments across all of our platforms. We try to get to as many as we can. We try not to repeat the same question twice. It can be difficult, but we always try to do our very, very best here and try to be as transparent, open, and honest with you and just have a conversation. I think that so many news operations out there ignore their social media comment sections. I'm very much here to tell you, with interactive journalism and the way that it's taking off, I'm very much here to tell you that I'm the opposite. I want to talk with you guys. I want to talk with wherever you're watching from, whether it's Reddit. Hello to Reddit. Hello to YouTube. Jenna, Danny, Christine, Rebecca joining us here on YouTube. I'll give some shout outs here to Reddit, some of the more recent Reddit commenters here. Just again, I want to make sure that you guys are very much aware that we are here to have this conversation with you. Captain Dust 1000, LOL Duke, Wavy Lady 11. I wish I was a unicorn. Commenting here. Hungry Helmet. I could just read. You guys would probably be very entertained if I just read through some of the Reddit names that are here as well. I can't read that one. That one's inappropriate. Okay, so we're going to move on from Reddit. Some of the commenters joining us on Facebook. Jody, Susie, Gail, Missy, Teresa, Billy Joe, Paul, Phyllis, Mary, Lori, Linda, Kim, Sydney. We're here to have a conversation here with you, and we're not the news operation that's just going to kind of ignore you guys out there. We want to be involved in the conversation because we know that there's so much out there that isn't true.
Okay, I'm going to take JB's advice and explain this as nice as possible. Using common sense, there's no possible way that Brian is buried in the garden. They've had search dogs at the house, I believe. The FBI has been in and out of there 100 times. There would be a smell coming from it when all the news reporters and everybody were in the backyard. There would be no way for them to bury him. That would cause them to have a murder charge. The parents are not going to take a murder rap. There's so many common sense variables that prove that theory to be absolutely ludicrous. I don't know where it started. I don't know where anyone's getting all this information from, but it is completely ludicrous. There's not even logic behind it. And the reason why there's no logic behind it are for the reasons I just stated.
And we can kind of help here as far as telling you what is true. So really appreciate all the comments that we got here. Can't get to them all, never could. It would take us years to. We try our very best to get to as many here on stream. Eagle 8 HD, if it's back live, I'm sure that our flight radar community on Reddit will be right on it as far as monitoring Eagle 8 HD. But conversations will be had here as far as how we utilize Eagle 8 HD in the future, make it as efficient as possible for our viewers here. And I'll keep you posted on my WFLA JB Twitter, my WFLA JB Instagram, and my WFLA JB Facebook page. Those three places, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, it's all the same, WFLA JB. If you're looking for advanced notice, a heads up as to when we'll be back here live on WFLA Now, I try to give you about an hour heads up. And that way we can bring in Paul, we can bring in Josh, we can bring in Masa, we can bring in Walt, we can bring in Justin and Allison and the entire WFLA, award-winning WFLA team here and have that conversation here with you. But as I noted on Twitter last night, streaming is different than TV. You don't have the same time every day where you can be guaranteed that we're going to be here. Some days we stream at noon. Some days it's been 1. Today we were live at 11:30. There have been times where we've done streams at 5 o'clock or 5:30 in the evening. So streams happen at different times. I'll try my very best to give you a heads up when a stream is possible within the hour, and I'll do that on my WFLA JB Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, whatever your favorite platform is. You can follow me there and get that advanced kind of heads up. This is, again, the video of this morning. Chris Laundrie leaving his home here in Northport, just him, solo, without his wife, Roberta, heading to the Carlton Reserve there on the Myakka side for the search efforts here that are ongoing for his son, Brian Laundrie. If there's any new developments, if Eagle is back in the air or there's a significant new development with Chris Laundrie there at Carlton Reserve, we're back here with you live on WFLA Now across all the platforms that we're on live right now. Wherever you're watching from live right now, we would be back live in this place, provided that, of course, we have a new live stream forthcoming. So Right now, you can head over to WFLA.com, the WFLA app. That's where we have the latest on Gabby Petito, the latest on Brian Laundrie. The article hub lives there as far as the latest developments here on these stories, on this story and many more here in the Tampa Bay area. It's all for you on WFLA.com and the WFLA app. I'll be heading over to my WFLA JB Facebook, Twitter, Instagram to try to answer some comments there, comment back at some of the commenters there, try to answer some more questions on those 3 accounts. But in the meantime, here we're going into standby mode, and we'll be back here live on WFLA Now with any additional developments here on the latest with Gabby Petito or the search for Brian Laundrie.
All right, so I did some looking, and it says, can you build a bunker, an underground bunker in Florida? Some say yes. Some say in parts of North Florida, yes, and Central and South Florida, no. The ground gets thinner as you go south. If you start digging in Miami, you'll hit water about 12 to 15 feet down. So being that the swamp he's in is all water, and there's so much water there, I'm assuming that you probably can't do it there either. That's my guess. But I also think that they would have found it already. These bunker nuts have been playing too much Minecraft. I'm telling you. I agree with that. The mother is pulling out a large weed. When the video is slowed down, it looks distorted, like 2 hands. When the video is played in normal, mom's pulling a weed out. That simple is done. The water is right there. I live there. Okay. So then they wouldn't be able to have an underground bunker. Our resident true crime conspiracy theorist was out of the office today. Too much sand here. Yeah, I don't believe the underground bunker theory. Hey, Nikki. And I don't even know where it started from, but it's no. I definitely don't think the weed was a hand coming out. I mean, that's because if it was an underground bunker, you're not going to see a weed. You're not going to see a hand. You'd only see a hand if it was a dead body. And if there were hands coming out, there was a dead body, I think the mom would have freaked out a little. Just a bit. Why do you need a bunker when you have the Everglades? Good point. Yeah, you wouldn't put an underground bunker in Florida. But they say parts of it aren't. But looking at the Carlton Reserve, there is a lot of water there. So you wouldn't be able to have an underground bunker. It's like 10 feet above sea level. Yeah, I don't even know where the theory came from. There's no way there's a bunker below the garden. Yeah, I mean, what did they think? Is someone's going to come blow up Tampa? Come on. And like I said, he wouldn't have enough time to put an underground bunker in somewhere else. Unless they built an underground bunker somewhere else. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. He could be on a boat. He could be in the middle of the ocean. Just floating around. And that's what I'm saying. They wouldn't have had enough time to build a bunker. There might have been one from World War II date. That's ridiculous. That's like so far-fetched. Rainy season, I get tropical. Yeah, if it was like California, maybe. Not Florida. He was saying, yeah, I don't believe that either. I don't believe that guy. I believe that guy probably saw somebody. A hammock or bed up in a big palm tree with 1 mile vision binoculars, a mosquito net. That's possible. You know, when somebody said that earlier, it made me think, could he possibly be up in a tree? Yeah, It's possible. And he's not on foot. I think Dad is going to either ID belongings, ID a body, or talk him out. See, I don't think Dad knows where he is. I think Dad, I don't know. I can't say you're wrong, Karen, but I don't think Dad is there. I don't think he's there. I mean, like, I don't think Dad's talking to him. If you're on the move, wouldn't you want room to actually move? You would not want to be stationary with very little options. That's true, too. You know, I'm surprised the submarine theory hasn't come out yet. Current leads to Micah State Park directly. It's the biggest state park in Florida. I didn't know that. Have they looked in that park? It looked like a small flashlight in back right-hand pocket. Oh, Dad was packed. He was packed to the hills. His pockets were packed. His shirt was packed. Everything was packed. They said he's hiding, not running. You could start at Savannah. He's in a submarine. See, but honestly, a submarine makes a lot more sense than a bunker. Because a submarine, I can see him being. I mean, where would he get one? Nobody knows. But, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm so torn on this, if he's there or not. Because I sit there and I think to myself, how is the FBI this wrong? How could they possibly spend this much time and this much money and this much manpower without actual proof of him being there? I don't know. I have a hard time believing that. And honestly, why do they care? I know people are saying, like, the dad went there to talk, but why would they care? Like, why would they need the dad to bring him out instead of just going in after him? And if it was the last time, you know, come to think of it, I want to say that if it's the last time that his dad's going to see him without being in prison, why wouldn't the mom come? That's why I don't think that he's there to talk. I think the mom would have came too. And if mom was there, I would have said, yeah, they're there to talk to him. But being that he went there alone, I don't believe that that's the case. Maybe this sick bastard had it planned out for years? Nah, I don't think so. Where would he be getting drinking water? Where's he getting food? There's an FBI backed off of the reserve when Dog was at the campgrounds. They were watching that reserve. I'm betting there was movement because they jumped right back in pretty quick. Maybe. What is your theory of him going now? I think it's a setup. Either I don't know if the FBI told him to do this, but being that every pocket he has is packed, I tend to believe that it's highly possible that he's going to drop off items and that he's not doing this to help his son. I mean, he's not doing this to search for his son. He's doing this because he's dropping off items for his son, possibly. But I tend more to believe that the FBI asked him to drop off stuff so they can snatch him. No, that was a rumor, Mocha. Yeah, if they were going to talk to him, I absolutely think Mom would be there. I don't think he would have gone alone. Last time you're going to see him, he may end up dead. Like, he could be in a shootout. We don't know. He's in a food death zone right now. Water is easy with a filter. Like a mousetrap, yeah. If he has some sort of strainer, yeah, but what's he doing for food? This is a long time. I think it's 23 days. If he's out there, now is the time when he couldn't move from hunger. I think if BL killed Gabby, it was an accident. Oh, I believe it was an accident. I don't think he did it on purpose. Needs to turn himself in. This will not end well if he doesn't. That's why I don't think he's there. I really believe if he was there, Mom would have talked to him. You can go 3 weeks without food. Yeah, but eventually he's going to be hungry. Unless there's natural sources at the reserve, and that's why they believe he's there. Maybe there's a way for... I can't see there's hunting there. I mean, you can live on crocodile. Yeah, I don't think this is going to end well either. I think the mother is watching the bed guard and the hand in the video. I can't with that. There's no pigs there. I don't know. Maybe when he flew home, they put together the bunker. I don't know. I really don't know. Brian E is live. Chris has left the reserve. Oh, is he back at the house? Hang on. You can live on bear. You can eat bear. All right, let's go to Twitter. All right. Brian needs to turn his phone to the side instead of this one way. I want to see what his pockets look like when he gets out of that.
Someone asked the other live stream cut off. I actually got a call during the... Every time someone calls me during the live stream, it ends, which is really annoying. So if anyone's watching this that I'm friends with, don't call right now, or any of the producers. But that's why you guys are asking why the other live stream cut out. That's why. So we're right near his house now because I recognize this Publix. I think he's going home. And the cell service is not good near the house, so if I lose you guys, I think that's what's about to happen. Yeah, I will.
No, come on, I want to see the pockets. I know, I got to stop calling him, Savannah. I keep calling him. We're watching Brian Enton. And his service is terrible. I hope that's him and not me. Question, can the parents change these protesters and then people for harassing? They can. Is that him or me?
Really screwing me up when they call. So anyway, he's definitely going back to the house. Like, this is his street now. Yeah, this is definitely their street. Is he just stopped right here?
There's stuff going on in his house.
boy. Alright, so he's definitely going home, it looks like. I'm gonna have to hop out here in a second. Alright. Yeah, let me get out, Luis.
Why is he running like a lunatic? Did I miss something?
Your son is still alive, Mr. Laundrie? Chris, what was the purpose of today's field trip?
Damn, we don't have video.
Okay.
Damn, I wanted to see what he had on him. I agree, Lab. I'm telling you, I really believe it was a setup. I just don't know who started the setup. Dude, your service sucks. His service keeps cutting out. Come on, Brian. I was counting on you. You could tell it's him. His viewers keeps dropping. Hey, Danielle. Yeah, he cut it.
Sorry, someone called again.
Maybe the beginning. No, they don't have any video of him actually leaving. Oh, he was there with the police.
Oh, well, I'm not going to walk around as much as normal just because I'm getting the Wi-Fi off of our news truck because the service is, like, especially bad here. I'm actually shocked I can even get the live stream. Last week I wasn't able even to.
So if the service is so bad, then why did they think Brian's there with a phone?
Laundrie left the house this morning in the red truck, came here to the reserve, parked over there, kind of behind the trees. He was then picked up on sort of an all-terrain golf cart-looking little vehicle by law enforcement, and then they took him over here behind where this Northport police cruiser is, down that dirt road and over the bridge and into the reserve. So we don't know where he is right now, but Christopher Laundrie is here with law enforcement assisting. A lot of you have wanted to hear Jennifer's take on this. I can't get her on Zoom because the service is too bad, but I'm going to try to call her real quick on speakerphone and see if I can get in the truck here. Just a little quieter.
Hi, Brian.
Hey, Jennifer. So I have you on a video right now. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to turn the AC down because so many people have been wanting to hear your take on this. What do you make of? And this is Jennifer Coffindaffer, former FBI agent who's been helping us out. What do you make of this situation with Chris Laundrie now at the reserve, helping with the search?
Well, I believe the FBI has found something at the reserve, something that may or may not be significant, but something that can't be transported, possibly a camping site. And they want his father to come look at perhaps how the fire pit looks or the setup of the camp to see if it is something that he recognized or is familiar with how Brian Laundrie possibly sets up a camp.
Is this unusual for them to be doing this with his dad?
Under our...
Okay, maybe that's why she's former FBI, because I don't agree with her theory at all. I think she's dumb. Sorry, not sorry. But her theory, I don't agree with that. The FBI doesn't need their dad to see if this is his type of camp or not. Nope, not going to happen. Nope.
Under the circumstances of this case, where you have an attorney representing him, meaning the Laundrie parents from the beginning and Brian Laundrie from the beginning, it is unusual because this request had to be made through the attorneys and now is putting the FBI in closer contact with the father. So it is a bit unusual, but I guarantee they have questions for him regarding what they have found that they believe he can answer.
Do you think, is there any chance that they're using this moment to try to get closer to the dad in terms of just get him alone? He's out of the house now to sort of talk to him?
Well, I don't think that is their ploy per se, but that can end up being what happens. They will not talk to him because he is retained. We have very strict rules on that, and we do not break the rule when somebody has asked for an attorney. Okay. However, just that familiarity of working together, sometimes relationships can form and it can open doors.
And yesterday I showed you the aerial videos, you saw the SUVs out there, and there was a lot of action in the reserve. What did you make of what you saw?
Well, when I saw the SUVs, most FBI agents do not drive SUVs. The agents that do drive SUVs are in specialty areas like evidence recovery team, what we call the ERT, SWAT members, because they have a lot of gear to carry. So it could be because of the terrain out there that they need all-terrain, four-wheel drive, larger vehicles, that they have that out there. But it is also indicative of an ERT team, which would make a lot of sense if they found something specific to comb over.
Makes sense. Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. I don't want to keep you long, but I'll call you if anything else happens. I'll call you back, okay?
All right.
All right, bye.
Thank you, Brian. Good luck.
Okay, not impressed at all.
Interesting perspective. Okay, I'm going to get back out. So I don't want to make this video too long. It's going to take a really long time to upload because the internet's so bad. But again, just to recap, Christopher Laundrie is here, parked back there. There's a little parking lot back there. They've now closed it off so we can't get back there. Got on a little vehicle with the law enforcement officers and then went down back here and is now in the reserve. So I'll keep you posted. I'll tweet. Sorry you can't get live, but just is what it is. All right, bye.
Sarah, I think maybe his parents, I don't know. I honestly don't know. The more I think about it, the more I think the FBI set this up. I really do. Yeah, there's nothing else. I wanted to see the dad what he was packing. Nothing. Jen, I really believe the FBI. He was there for 3.5 hours. All right. Is the closest.
Do you believe your son is still alive? Anything to say about when he's off the reserve?
His pockets are
Anything to say
emptier.
about when he's off the reserve? Any sign of your son, Mr. Laundrie? Do you believe your son is still alive? Anything to say about when he's off the reserve?
Damn, I wish I had Zoom, that I could zoom in on that. I don't have that technology. But someone needs to zoom in and see his pockets.
Anything to say about when he's off the reserve? Any sign of your son, Mr. Laundrie? Do you believe your son is still alive, Mr. Laundrie? Anything to say about when he's...
Let me see. That's as big as I can get it.
Anything to say about when he's off the reserve? Any sign of your son, Mr. Laundrie? Do you believe your son is still alive, Mr. Laundrie?
Can't really tell.
Laundrie?
Chris, what was the purpose of today's field trip?
Anything to say about when he's off the reserve?
Shit. It's the only one. This is all from before. See, this is what I'm saying. That's what his dad was like. Oh, LA, I totally feel bad for the parents. I do. All right, so that's fire truck who brought in the thing. I tailed Chris Laundrie from home to the Creek Environmental Park. He drove his truck into the main entrance of the park and then entered a different entrance with a cart and an officer. Well, that answered one question we had. He was with an officer. Yeah, I don't think they should be on the parents like this either. Enough is enough. That's it. I want to know what was in that bag too, what he was packed with. I totally agree with that. I want to see it all. All right, but I have to go. I got to get ready for Phoenix's physical therapy appointment. Hopefully they won't find Brian in the next few hours when I can't be here. So I will see you guys later. I don't believe he's dead. I think he's alive. But I will see you guys later. And that's it. So have a wonderful day. If I don't see you, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys tonight. Peace.